I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, February the 1st, brought to you in part by Vitalix. Not all tubs are created equal. Stretch your profits with every lick. Down here at NCBA convention in Orlando, Florida, was able to go out to a steakhouse with some Vitalix reps there. Had Hannah, Dusty, Clint, Jason, and Travis with us, and we had a big time there at that steakhouse. Get the blue tub. Your cows will love you. For more information, go to Vitalix.com. Good news around the cattle complex on Wednesday. The directive that they were to vote on at NCBA convention about the EID tags, which was really said to be voluntary, but it was actually asking USDA to come out with rules about all classes of cattle to have an EID tag by 2026, has now been watered down significantly. It no longer includes all classes of cattle. NCBA, the directive that's left, still supports anticipated rules from USDA on tagging of breeding age cattle over 18 months of age. And it also includes rodeo and exhibition cattle. So you guys that have your sorting cattle, your roping cattle, your bucking stock, and any of your show cattle are all still going to have to be EID'd if that directive comes down, and if NCBA or USDA comes out with rules saying that it has to be. But that is what NCBA still supports. We're not crazy about it. It's going to be unhandy for cow selling. It's probably going to undo America's favorite pastime of trading cows. It's going to make that a little bit more difficult. But it does not call for that to be mandatory. And we don't know what rules USDA could come up with, but it does not support mandatory. And likely, especially in an election year, we probably won't see that come through. And so we're going to live with that. And we still don't know whether that passes or not. That will be voted upon here on Thursday sometime. But this is a significant victory. And I am not claiming in any way, shape, or form any responsibility for taking all classes of cattle out of there. But I did hear that this format of feeder flash was mentioned several times during a meeting there, that they were talking about this and where that got watered down. But I do want to applaud all of you that called your affiliates and let your voice be known. That was significant, and apparently we had a big outreach from members of different affiliates, and likely if they would have kept it as stringent as it was, the directive would have still passed. And then if USDA come in, they could have said that the voice of the cattlemen supported all ages. And like I said, we don't know what USDA is going to do, but likely that still could have passed with the number of votes that those that supported it had, but it was not going to look good. But there was enough throwback against it that it was able to get watered down here, and I'm going to say that's a big victory. It was not something that was feasible, and you guys called into your affiliates and voiced your opinion there. We had some very influential people within the industry that were voicing their opinion in a big way, and it did not fall on deaf ears. And so basically we're going to go on here, and even if they indeed pass this, it's saying that they support voluntary EID tagging of the cattle over 18 months of age and rodeo and exhibition cattle. It's not a law yet. It's just saying that they do support it, and not necessarily in a mandatory way. So that's a victory. We can continue life basically as normal, but it's a great thing that we got that kind of pushed out. We also had good news on the cattle inventory report that came out on Wednesday. We can call it neutral, but it was very friendly. Your inventory of all classes of cattle and calves was down 98.1%, so that's 1.9% lower. The average of the guesses was 1.8, so you know, even though it's neutral, it's falling on the bullish side. And the calf crop was called 97.5%. That's what they're looking for. That's down 2.5%, and the average of the analyst guess was down 2.4. So both of those are strong neutral, strong to the bullish side. Let the good times roll. We know that these numbers of cattle are extremely, extremely tight. We talk about it all the time, especially on here. But it's a good thing, and I don't see any reason why the bullishness, at least on the fundamental side, shouldn't continue. We've had a really strong week so far this week, especially on the feeder cattle. Of course, the good weather that we've had this week has really accompanied that bullishness in your cash feeder cattle auctions, and I'm going to tell you some more about that towards the end of the report, like I always do. But let's talk about your board on Wednesday. February live cattle futures down 67 cents, but remember they were up big on Tuesday, but closing on Wednesday at 177.35. April was down 105, still at 180.70, and your back months were not down as much. They were from steady to 40 cents lower. March feeder cattle down 117 at 240.15. April down 85 cents at 246.15. Your back months were mixed, from down as much as 42 cents to up as much as 37, and that was on your farthest out traded months. But I would expect your board would react positively after the cattle inventory report come out, and perhaps because of the watered down NCBA policy directive there that was going to kind of demoralize the industry a bit. But we've got good news here, guys, middle of this week. Fat cattle trade has not taken off, but it's going to be higher. Iowa just sold maybe one load there and really didn't have a market for those. Nebraska sold 300 head on Wednesday at a dress price of $275, and that's right in there about where they sold last week. But Kansas kicked off the trade with 500 head selling before 2 o'clock. Likely going to be a lot more sales for a wrap up when I talk about it on our next feeder flash. But early on Wednesday, 500 sales, 500 head sales in Kansas at 176, and that's a buck higher, guys. So we got positive news in the fat cattle arena there. Texas did not quote any sales on Wednesday. Box beef cutout values were lower. Choice cuts down 153 at 294.54. Selects down 288 at 284.17. Your slaughter running at a pretty good clip this week, even though a disappointing Saturday last week kind of left us thinking they weren't wanting to step up the slaughter. But so far this week, through the first 3 days of the week, 379,000 harvested. That's 13,000 more than the previous week, 7,000 more than the same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Limousine and Limflex. If you're looking for genetic change at this year's bull sales, consider Limousine and Limflex. Let them take you full circle. For more information, go to NALF.org. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index from DVAuction, based on an 800-pound cash auction steer up through your middle 12 states, on Wednesday afternoon at 239.84. That's up 256. That's a big, big increase, guys, on a 7-day moving average there. Your latest CME cash feeder cattle index was sitting at 236.28, but you can expect it to go up in a big way, and that's valuable for you guys that have LRPs cashing them in there, guys. You want to know where that CME cash feeder cattle index is sitting, and you can look at your real-time index as a precursor for that. We wish them luck at Stockman's Livestock Exchange in Dickinson, North Dakota. Got the Greater Midwest Livestock Auctioneer Contest going on Thursday. They've got a good run there, expecting close to 5,000 head, and that'll be a good time up there in North Dakota. Would have liked to have accepted the invitation to go up there and judge that contest, but had to be here in Orlando. But giving you your feeder cattle quotes a little bit early so we can go to some events here later in the day on Wednesday. But Look at your big sales on Wednesday. OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma. They had about 4,000 head that they had sold at the time that I pulled this off to broadcast, but didn't have the Federal State Market News Report out yet. But from the looks of it, with Cattle Market Central's automated market report, feeders look $3 to $8 higher, and they'll likely be called higher than that because this was just based on weighted averages there. But OKC West and El Reno, your DVAuction broadcaster there, was your NationalBeefWire stick-out sale of the day. You look at the best tested weights up to when I pulled this, they had 384 head of 7-weight steers. It's just feeders on Wednesday. Those 7-weight steers averaged 755 with a weighted average price of $234.03. There were 722 head of 8-weight steers sold. They averaged 840 pounds at $227.49. 505 head of the 9-weight steers averaged 926 pounds with a weighted average price of $218.08, which is pretty impressive, guys. Look at the heifers. 628 head of 6-weight heifers averaged 666 at $227.23. There was 415 head of 7-weight heifers sold. They averaged 741 at $213.66. And 550 head of the 8-weight heifers averaged 848 at $204.52. Give you some impressive individual quotes from all around. How about Bassett Livestock Auction, now offering DVAuction broadcasting there? They sold 179 steers, weighed 681 one whack at $287.50. How about Coffeyville Stockyards in North Barn up in Kansas there? Todd and Layton doing a good job with both of those barns. But Coffeyville Stockyards North sold 255 head of 806-pound steers. They bring $235.75. How about Stockman's Livestock Market in Yankton, South Dakota? They sell 69 big steers, weigh 1054, and still bring $224 a hundred. That's very impressive. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Wednesday in your Macrocin No BS top quote for the day, come out of Torrington Livestock Markets in Torrington, Wyoming. They sell a big string of steers, 347 head of 821-pound steers. They bring $248.75. And that's your feeder flash for Thursday.